Chapter 785, Mystery of the Loch Ness Monster. At the estate I was talking to Stuart and I was comforting his daughters Susie and Alicia. They were crying hard and they were hugging me and they were still shaking from the terrible ordeal they went through with the terror of the necromorphs. As a result of destroying the necromorphs on Aegis 7, we formed a branch team to Team Loud Phoenix Storm dedicated to killing the necromorphs and the Church of Unitology. We call it the Anti-Unitology Conglomerate and their goal is to destroy the entirety of the necromorphs and kill the entire Church of Unitology. I found out when we got back that a temporal wormhole opened up, cutting a hole in the fabric of space, and it let the distress signal we received from the USG Ishimura come into our time in the year 2019 from the year 2508. We don't know how this happened, but somehow it did. Me. It's all right, girls. It's all right. Nico, poor girls. The necromorphs really scarred them for life. Stuart, they sure did. Vince, I can't believe how terrifying those creatures were. Carol, they were awful. Brittany Crosby, excuse me JD. How are they doing? Me, they were traumatized because of the necromorphs. Brittany Crosby, oh the poor things. Me and Julie are gonna head over to the Jupiter prison for another rant session. Me, okay. I'm sorry I can't go with you. Susie and Alicia need a lot of help. Julie Martin, okay. We'll be back later. Nico, have fun girls. They got on a teleporter and went to the Jupiter prison. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Brittany and Julie arrived at the Jupiter prison and they got ready. It was gonna be enjoyable. Brittany Crosby, I'll start. I'm gonna enjoy ranting at this bitch. Prisoner 1, JD not here with you today? Brittany Crosby, no. He couldn't come because he's helping two traumatized girls that we rescued on a mission. It was a horrifying nightmare. Julie Martin, I can tell you all about it. Prisoner 1, what happened? Julie Martin revealed what went down with the terror of the necromorphs and everyone was shocked and terrified. Prisoner 1, oh man. Poor girls. Prisoner 2, what did these necromorphs look like? Julie used her powers and she showed them the horrifying images of the necromorphs that they learned about from Nicole and they were horrifying. Prisoner 3, those creatures are terrifying. Prisoner 4, and disgusting looking. Prisoner 1, those poor girls have been through a nightmare. Julie Martin, nightmare is an understatement. Prisoner 1, I'm sorry that they went through all that. But tell them that we wish them the best. Guard 1, same here. That was an awful experience that they went through. Julie Martin, we will. Let's watch the rants. Brittany Crosby put breath spray in her mouth and cleared her throat. Brittany Crosby clears throat and takes a deep breath. You are the most fucked up, most worthless fucking bitch ever. I would rather piss on a sandwich and eat it as it is covered in raw sewage than have a fucked up flat-chested freak than you. Everyone, ew. Prisoner 4, laughs, that was a good one. Prisoner 2, but I would not want to eat a sandwich like that. Julie Martin, as JD would say, eating a sandwich like that would taste worse than puke. Everyone laughed hysterically. Guard 2, laughs hysterically, you got that right. Prisoner 3, laughs hysterically, that was funny. Julie Martin, my turn. Julie walked up to Vicky. Julie Martin, are you saying that I am one of the village people here to disco for you? Is that what you're saying? Icky Vicky, yes? Julie Martin, that's it. Julie Martin jumped Icky Vicky and she pulverized the living shit out of her with incredibly indiscriminate fury in a fight cloud. Everyone was laughing hysterically and they were holding their sides and rolling on the floor laughing their heads off uncontrollably. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Out in the backyard, Betty and Jen were having a contest where they find out who has a faster transformation in becoming a She-Hulk. Betty and Jen had black and dark blue tattered clothes on over their She-Hulk costumes. Toad Man, to Betty and Jen, you two ready to start? Jen, I'm ready. Betty, ready. Toad Man. All right. Go. Jen feels her bones stretching. Betty, how are you holding up? Betty groans. I'm holding up well. They turned into their She-Hulk forms and their tattered clothes were shredding apart. However, when they were done, they both tied. Toad Man, it's a tie with you both. Red She-Hulk, wow. We're both the same Jen. She-Hulk, we sure are. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Later we were in the living room and I was looking up the legend of the Loch Ness Monster in Scotland. For decades, many people over in Scotland believed that the legendary Loch Ness Monster was a prehistoric creature that survived the extinction of the dinosaurs and was living in Loch Ness ever since. But in 1960 it was a hoax. But according to popular belief, it has been swimming the lake ever since 540 AD. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. In Scottish folklore, the Loch Ness Monster or Nessie is said to be a creature that inhabits Loch Ness in the Scottish Highlands. It is often described as large in size with a long neck and one or more humps protruding from the water. Popular interest and belief in the creature have varied since it was brought to worldwide attention in 1933. Evidence of its existence is anecdotal, with a few disputed photographs and sonar readings. The scientific community regards the Loch Ness Monster as a phenomenon without biological basis, explaining sightings as hoaxes, wishful thinking, and the misidentification of mundane objects. The word monster was reportedly applied for the first time to the creature on May 2, 1933 by Alex Campbell, water bailiff for Loch Ness and a part-time journalist, in an Inverness Courier report. On August 4, 1933 the Courier published a report by Londoner George Spicer that several weeks earlier, while they were driving around the loch, he and his wife saw the nearest approach to a dragon or prehistoric animal that I have ever seen in my life trundling across the road toward the loch with an animal in its mouth. Letters began appearing in the Courier, often anonymously, claiming land or water sightings by the writer, their family, or acquaintances or remembered stories. The accounts reached the media, which described a monster fish, sea serpent, or dragon and eventually settled on Loch Ness Monster. On December 6, 1933 the first purported photograph of the monster, taken by Hugh Gray, was published in the Daily Express. The Secretary of State for Scotland soon ordered police to prevent any attacks on it. In 1934, interest was further piqued by the surgeon's photograph. That year, R.T. Gould published an account of the author's investigation in a record of reports predating 1933. Other authors have claimed sightings of the monster dating to the 6th century AD. The earliest report of a monster in the vicinity of Loch Ness appears in the Life of Saint Columba by Idemnan, written in the 6th century AD. According to Idemnan, writing about a century after the events described, Irish monk Saint Columba was staying in the land of the Picts with his companions when he encountered local residents burying a man by the river Ness. They explained that the man was swimming in the river when he was attacked by a water beast which mauled him and dragged him underwater. Although they tried to rescue him in a boat, he was dead. Columba sent a follower, Loigny Macu Min, to swim across the river. The beast approached him, but Columba made the sign of the cross and said, "Go no further. Do not touch the man. Go back at once." The creature stopped as if it had been pulled back with ropes and fled, and Columba's men and the Picts gave thanks for what they perceived as a miracle. Believers in the monster point to this story, set in the river Ness rather than the loch itself, as evidence for the creature's existence as early as the 6th century. Skeptics question the narrative's reliability, noting that water beast stories were extremely common in medieval hagiographies, and Idemnan's tale probably recycles a common motif attached to a local landmark. According to skeptics, Idemnan's story may be independent of the modern Loch Ness Monster legend and became attached to it by believers seeking to bolster their claims. Ronald Binns considers that this is the most serious of various alleged early sightings of the monster, but all other claimed sightings before 1933 are dubious and do not prove a monster tradition before that date. Christopher Kearney uses a specific historical and cultural analysis of Idemnan to separate Idemnan's story about Saint Columba from the modern myth of the Loch Ness Monster. but finds an earlier and culturally significant use of Celtic water beast folklore along the way. In doing so, he also discredits any strong connection between Kelpies or water horses and the modern media-augmented creation of the Loch Ness Monster. In October 1871, or 1872, D. Mackenzie of Balnain reportedly saw an object resembling a log or an upturned boat wriggling and churning up the water. The object moved slowly at first, disappearing at a faster speed. Mackenzie sent his story in a letter to Rupert Gould in 1934, shortly after popular interest in the monster increased. Modern interest in the monster was sparked by a sighting on July 22, 1933, when George Spicer and his wife saw a most extraordinary form of animal cross the road in front of their car. They described the creature as having a large body, about 4 feet, 1.2 m, high and 25 feet, 8 m, long, and a long, wavy, narrow neck, slightly thicker than an elephant's trunk and as long as the 10-12 foot, 3-4 m, width of the road. They saw no limbs. It lurched across the road towards the loch 20 yards, 20 m, away, leaving a trail of broken undergrowth in its wake. It has been claimed that sightings of the monster increased after a road was built along the loch in early 1933, bringing workers and tourists to the formerly isolated area. However, Binns has described this as the myth of the Lonely Loch, as it was far from isolated before then, due to the construction of the Caledonian Canal. In the 1930s, the existing road by the side of the loch was given a serious upgrade. Just possibly this work could have contributed to the legend, since there could have been tar barrels floating in the loch. Hugh Gray's photograph taken near Foyers on November 12, 1933 was the first photograph alleged to depict the monster. It was slightly blurred, and it has been noted that if one looks closely the head of a dog can be seen. Gray had taken his Labrador for a walk that day, and it is suspected that the photograph depicts his dog fetching a stick from the loch. Others have suggested the photograph depicts an otter or a swan. The original negative was lost. However, in 1963 Maurice Burton came into possession of 2 lantern slides, contact positives from the original negative, and when projected onto a screen they revealed an otter rolling at the surface in characteristic fashion. On January 5, 1934 a motorcyclist, Arthur Grant, claimed to have nearly hit the creature while approaching Aubreyacon, near the northeastern end of the loch, at about 1 a.m. on a moonlit night. According to Grant, it had a small head attached to a long neck. The creature saw him, and crossed the road back to the loch. Grant, a veterinary student, described it as a cross between a seal and a plesiosaur. He said he dismounted and followed it to the loch, but saw only ripples. Grant produced a sketch of the creature which was examined by zoologist Maurice Burton, who stated it was consistent with the appearance and behavior of an otter. Regarding the long size of the creature reported by Grant, it has been suggested that this was a faulty observation due to the poor light conditions. Paleontologist Darren Naish has suggested that Grant may have seen either an otter or a seal and exaggerated his sighting over time. The surgeon's photograph is reportedly the first photo of the creature's head and neck. Supposedly taken by Robert Kenneth Wilson, a London gynecologist, it was published in the Daily Mail on April 21, 1934. Wilson's refusal to have his name associated with it led to it being known as the surgeon's photograph. According to Wilson, he was looking at the loch when he saw the monster, grabbed his camera and snapped 4 photos. Only 2 exposures came out clearly. The first reportedly shows a small head and back, and the second shows a similar head in a diving position. The first photo became well known, and the second attracted little publicity because of its blurriness. For 60 years the photo was considered evidence of the monster's existence, although skeptics dismissed it as driftwood, an elephant, an otter, or a bird. The photo's scale was controversial. It is often shown cropped, making the creature seem large and the ripples like waves, while the uncropped shot shows the other end of the loch and the monster in the center. The ripples in the photo were found to fit the size and pattern of small ripples, unlike large waves photographed up close. Analysis of the original image fostered further doubt. In 1993, the makers of the Discovery Communications documentary Loch Ness Discovered analyzed the uncropped image and found a white object visible in every version of the photo, implying that it was on the negative. It was believed to be the cause of the ripples, as if the object was being towed, although the possibility of a blemish on the negative could not be ruled out. An analysis of the full photograph indicated that the object was small, about 60 to 90 centimeters, 2 to 3 feet, long. Since 1994, most agree that the photo was an elaborate hoax. It had been described as fake in a December 7, 1975 Sunday Telegraph article which fell into obscurity. Details of how the photo was taken were published in the 1999 book, Nessie the Surgeon's Photograph Exposed, which contains a facsimile of the 1975 Sunday Telegraph article. The creature was reportedly a toy submarine built by Christian Sperling, the son-in-law of Marmaduke Wetherell. Wetherell had been publicly ridiculed by his employer, the Daily Mail, after he found Nessie footprints which turned out to be a hoax. To get revenge on the Mail, Wetherell perpetrated his hoax with CO conspirators Sperling, sculpture specialist, Ian Wetherell, his son, who bought the material for the fake, and Maurice Chambers, an insurance agent. The toy submarine was bought from F.W. Woolworths, and its head and neck were made from wood putty. After testing it in a local pond, the group went to Loch Ness, where Ian Wetherell took the photos near the outside tea house. When they heard a water bailiff approaching, Duke Wetherell sank the model with his foot, and it is presumably still somewhere in Loch Ness. Chambers gave the photographic plates to Wilson, a friend of his who enjoyed a good practical joke. Wilson brought the plates to Ogstones, an Inverness chemist, and gave them to George Morrison for development. He sold the first photo to the Daily Mail, who then announced that the monster had been photographed. Little is known of the second photo. It is often ignored by researchers, who believe its quality too poor and its differences from the first photo too great to warrant analysis. It shows a head similar to the first photo, with a more turbulent wave pattern and possibly taken at a different time and location in the loch. Some believe it to be an earlier, cruder attempt at a hoax, and others, including Roy MacCall and Maurice Burton, consider it a picture of a diving bird or otter which Wilson mistook for the monster. According to Morrison, when the plates were developed, Wilson was uninterested in the second photo. He allowed Morrison to keep the negative, and the second photo was rediscovered years later. When asked about the second photo by the Ness Information Service newsletter, Sperling was vague, thought it might have been a piece of wood they were trying out as a monster, but was not sure. Me, the legendary Loch Ness Monster. A creature that has eluded us for over 1,579 years. Lincoln, it's amazing. Laney, I know. I read all about it in one of my favorite books. Me, but it was discovered to be a hoax back in the 1990s. Laney, it would be so cool to see a legendary creature like that. We already saw the legendary Mongolian deathworm during the global race. So there must be all kinds of legendary creatures we haven't seen yet. Bisley, I assure you guys. The Loch Ness Monster is definitely real. Me, how do you know that, Bisley? Bisley, I've seen it in Scotland before I was sealed into the netherworld. It's an amazing creature. Me, this we got to see. We got to head over to Scotland. We were off to Scotland. ****. We arrived by Lake Loch Ness. It was a beautiful lake. Me, wow. Lake Loch Ness. For over 1,579 years this lake has been embroiled in controversy and skepticism. Laney, it sure has. But this lake is really beautiful. We went to a local castle and we saw Daphne Blake's cousin Shannon Blake. Shannon Blake, Scottish accent, Team Loud Phoenix Storm. It's an awesome honor to meet you lads and lassies. Me, Shannon Blake. Daphne told us a little about you. Shannon Blake, you know how she is now. Then we saw Mystery Inc. there as well. Fred, hey guys. Me, Fred, guys. It's great to see you here. Velma, Jinkies. What brings you all here? Me, isn't it obvious? We're here to see if the legend of the Loch Ness Monster is real. For 1,579 years this whole place has been surrounded in controversy. Shannon Blake, my favorite adventure of yours was when you all took on the Phantom Virus and the Revenge Squad. Daphne, I remember that. And me and the gang were there as well. Maria, I also remember that me, Lee, and Rubber Band Man were the only ones not knocked unconscious before Scooby defeated the Phantom Virus. Me, that was one of our most action-packed and amazing adventures. Nico, it sure was. Me, so what's going on here? Fred told us what's been happening. The Loch Ness Monster has been terrorizing the land before the Highland Games and it was really starting to become a problem. Me, so the Loch Ness Monster is causing a number of problems. Shannon Blake, we have to stop it. Me, we'll gladly help out. Fred, so how are we gonna find out what's going on? Me, well first did you find anything that might lead us to the monster? Shaggy, like yet. I did. Shaggy handed me what looked like some kind of piece of skin. I felt it and it was some kind of leather. Me, it's some kind of leather. This is not reptilian monster skin. Wind Charger, so we have a so-called monster running around. Me, it sure looks like it. Nico, yeah. Didn't you guys deal with a monster like this before? Velma, we sure did. It was done by Professor Fiona Pembroke. Lainey, oh wow. I love Professor Pembroke's books on the Loch Ness Monster. Velma, I do too Lainey. Me, what was the motive behind this? Velma, she wanted to scare Sir Ian Loxley with an amphibious machine into believing that the monster is real. Me, wow. That's a clever ruse. But if we can find the monster, we can show them. Let's do it. We went out to Lake Loch Ness. We were on an amazing boat and it was awesome. The lake was calm and it was quiet. Me, it's quiet. Too quiet. Lainey, it's creepy. But amazing. Lincoln, what does this monster look like? Me, it's some kind of prehistoric creature. We don't know what it looks like. Then we heard some kind of moan and we saw something swimming past us incredibly fast. Me, whoa. Lainey, there it is. I blast the water and an explosion of the water blew it out and out came a massive amphibious creature and it had glowing red eyes. Me, whoa. I noticed a torn piece of skin ripped off the creature and under it was metal. Me, wait a minute. That monster is fake. Wind Charger, hang on. My electromagnetic field is drawing in something from inside that so-called Loch Ness Monster. Lincoln lifted it up and he brought it on board and I tore the skin off and we saw that it was a machine. Me, it's a machine. I opened it and inside it was famous author Professor Fiona Pembroke. Wild Rider, do you have anything you want to say for yourself? Lainey, wow. Professor Fiona Pembroke. Professor Pembroke, Scottish accent, it's an honor to meet you all Team Loud Phoenix Storm. Me, you too Professor. We're actually here to help prove that the legendary Loch Ness Monster is real. During the global race we participated in, Lainey managed to prove the existence of the legendary Mongolian death worm. Professor Pembroke, that's amazing lass. You have the makings of an amazing cryptozoologist. Lainey, thanks Professor. You're one of my heroes and I love your research. I love learning all about everything. Suddenly there was another roar and we saw a fast object moving on through surface and we then saw a massive prehistoric long-necked creature surface. It was a giant plesiosaurus-like creature and it was 300 feet long and it had a whale-like tail and it had amazing amphibious fins and it was a magnificent marvel. It was the true legendary Loch Ness Monster. Me, I don't believe it. It's the true Loch Ness Monster. Bisley, I told you she was real. Nico, unbelievable. She is real. Sir Ian, Scottish accent, I don't believe my eyes. She is real. Nessie, Scottish accent, that's right. I'm sorry for scaring you all over the centuries. Me, whoa. You can talk. Nessie, I sure can lad. You're the famous JD. Knudsen of Team Loud Phoenix Storm. Me, that's right. Bisley, it's great to see you again Nessie. Nessie, you too Bisley. How have you been? Bisley, been great. I've changed my ways ever since we last saw each other. Girl Jordan, I helped her realize the error of her ways and she is now a member of the Team Loud Phoenix Storm Redemption Squad. Nessie, I'm proud of you lass. The reason I didn't want to be found is because a bunch of crazy humans are trying to catch me and sell me to a zoo. Lana, that's horrible. Nico, some people will just go to great lengths to do whatever it takes to make a living and take shortcuts in life. Nessie, I agree with you on that. But right now I'm being chased by a mad human and a bunch of other humans that are after me. Me, are those the men behind you? We saw the men and it was McIntyre and a bunch of mercenaries. Sir Ian, it's McIntyre. McIntyre was supposed to use his ship to help Sir Ian Loxley track the supposed Loch Ness monster, but at the last minute he and his men captured Sir Ian, Daphne Blake, and her cousin Shannon. McIntyre wanted to harpoon the monster, capture it, and sell it for a lot of money. Only heroic action by Daphne and the others prevented him from trying this. It wouldn't have worked in any case because the monster was a metal submarine. Daphne, I remember him. He wanted to catch the fake Nessie and sell it for quite a bundle of cash. Me, I thought he was in prison. Sir Ian, he busted out a few days ago. Me, so that's it. Nessie, we'll protect you from those guys. Let's go. We went out onto the water and we stood on top of the lake and we were ready to face McIntyre. McIntyre saw us. Me, McIntyre. McIntyre, Scottish accent, so the famous Team Loud Phoenix Storm has come to protect Nessie. Me, that's right. And you aren't getting a single euro from her. You want to get to her, you'll have to get through us. McIntyre, with pleasure and I have some special friends. He sent out 5 black pokeballs and out came an Apome, a Solrock, a Gloom, a Purloin, and a Litwick. But there was something different about them. They had blank eyes and they had strange black auras around them. Lori, something is literally wrong with this Pokemon and their power levels are stronger than normal Pokemon. Ash, I battled a Solrock before. It usually isn't that strong. McIntyre, chuckles, my Solrock is special. Misty, I've seen Erica from Celadon City use the Gloom in Ash's first journey. And I know it doesn't know a move involving a dark aura. Riku, I've seen Xehanort do stuff like this. Maria, McIntyre's Pokemon are really bizarre. Venom, it's almost like they're not normal Pokemon. William, they're not. They're shadow Pokemon. Mars and Jupiter told me about them a few minutes ago. They're Pokemon that have the door to their hearts sealed shut. Elena, the way to turn those Pokemon back to normal is to purify them. Stewie, but we need to catch them first. Me, leave that to me. I fired blasts of light and removed the dark influence from them and I threw a bunch of Pokeballs at them and caught them. Me, now you guys are going down. Nico, and I just caught a throw and a Seismitoad. McIntyre, you and your thugs have failed this country. Me, let's take them down. We went at McIntyre and his thugs and I punched McIntyre in the face and kicked him in the stomach and I punched him in the face again and knocked out some of his teeth. Smash. The thugs were being pulverized at a merciless and ferocious level. Me, let's show them the power of our combos and final smashes. Wind Charger, let's do it. Cyber Key Power. The Earth Cyber Planet Key went into Wind Charger's back and it enhanced his grenade launcher 100-fold. She-Hulk, time for some deadly Hulk power. Giganteon Cyber Key Power. The Giganteon Cyber Planet Key went into her right arm device and it enhanced her super strength and enabled her to fire a massive blast of green gamma energy. Windcharger and She-Hulk, Gamma Bomb Barrage. Windcharger fired numerous grenades and She-Hulk fired massive bombs of energy and they hit McIntyre's boat and blew it into a million pieces in a powerful explosion. Crab boo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo-wom. Toad Man, let's get down to business. Earth Cyber Key Power. The Earth Cyber Planet Key went into Toad Man's right arm and it enhanced his rain flush 100-fold. Wild Rider, let's get him. Cyber Key Power. The Earth Cyber Planet Key went into his twin-barrel plasma blaster and enhanced it 100-fold. Toad Man and Wild Rider, Acid Storm Deluge. Toad Man rained down acid and Wild Rider fired a massive blast of lightning and the attacks combined and they hit all of McIntyre's thugs and stunned them. Me, now for you McIntyre. Misty, let's show no mercy. Water Pokemon Spirit Strike. Misty fired a massive blast of water and it turned into all the water Pokemon ever known and slammed into McIntyre with devastating force. Daphne, time for you to see why the Blakes are known for always getting into trouble. Danger-prone accident burst. Daphne fired a massive blast of rainbow energy and it hit McIntyre and an anvil fell right on his head. Clang. Me, boo. That's gonna hurt. Lainey, ouch. Now I know how I felt when I got hit in the head with that bowling ball. McIntyre, stupidly, Mommy, can I have some fudge? Falls down. Misty, he sure got slammed on that. We laughed at that. Nessie, oh that was funny. Me, it was. Misty, to the viewers, you mess with legends around the world and you will mess with us and all of Team Loud Phoenix Storm. Me, that's right Misty. Hunter, don't you forget it. Later we sent McIntyre and his cronies to prison and they were sentenced to life in prison without parole in the Uranus prison and they were ordered to pay Euro 720,928,737,627,999.00 in restitution. We stayed and watched the Highland Games and we saw Lynn and Nate Tiley participate in the games. They were declared the ultimate champions of the Highland Games and more. We proved that the legendary Loch Ness Monster was real and Lainey was awarded a medal for proving to the world that the legendary Loch Ness Monster exists. She was made a junior professor of cryptozoology and she gave Professor Pembroke fame and fortune. The end. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Another fanfiction complete and another Scooby-Doo villain brought to justice. Scooby-Doo and the Loch Ness Monster from 2004 was an awesome movie. And I loved every second of it. The legend of the Loch Ness Monster was one of the most amazing stories I've ever read about and I've known it since I was a little kid. Nico-chan11 gave me the ideas for this one. Thanks man as usual. Let me know what you all think. See you all next time.